and the live on YouTube. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, November 21st, 2022, and I'm calling this meeting of the Tax Expenditure Review Commission to order. Our meeting today is being held remotely in accordance with guidance from the House Speaker and the Senate President. Just so everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded via Zoom and also live streamed on YouTube. All meeting documents and presentations are available on the Tax Expenditure Review Commission website. Welcome, everyone. Ms. Hope, will you please take the roll?
Thank you. Members, please unmute yourself for the roll. Chair Gomez.
Gomez, present.
Gomez, present. Vice Chair Rest. We're hoping to see soon. Senator Weber.
Present.
Representative Davids. Representative Schultz.
Present.
Representative Hertaus.
Hertaus, present.
Senator Dietzick. Assistant Commissioner Klockziem.
Present.
Senator Bach. Oh, I forgot to say that. Representative Marquardt. And Senator Nelson. Okay, we do have a quorum. The members who are not present had previously been excused, and we are expecting Senator Rest.
Thank you so much. So since we have a quorum, we're going to take a look at the minutes from the October 11th meeting and adopt them. Do we have a motion to move to adopt the minutes from October 11th, 2022?
I'll move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you. Representative Schultz has moved that we adopt the minutes from October 11th, 2022. If we could unmute for a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and the minutes from the October 11th meeting are adopted. So we have one main item on our agenda today. As we're kind of coming to the end of the year, we're going to provide some feedback on the draft annual legislative report that's to be submitted by December 15th to the Legislative Committees with Jurisdiction for Tax Policy. We received the report. I can't remember if it was Wednesday night or Thursday night, but we've had a couple days to take a look at it. You know, a lot's been going on, I think, for all of us, and so I was thinking that you know, we were going to invite the Legislative Budget Office staff that support this commission in to kind of go over the report with us. Mr. Wereka of the Legislative Budget Office is going to walk us through the draft report. And, you know, we're happy if there's something that kind of like jumps out to you as we're going through this. We're going to be stopping periodically after each section to see if there's feedback or questions. And we can kind of take that and, you know, and incorporate it. Please direct your feedback to the chair and not to Mr. Wereka. And you can use the raise hand feature if you have a question, and I'll be keeping my eye on that. So, Mr. Wereka, welcome back to the committee. If you could introduce yourself for the record and then go ahead with your presentation, that would be lovely.
Madam Chair and members, for the record, my name is Carlos Wereka, the Legislative Budget Office. As mentioned, the draft report has been made available to members and also available online. So I'll just walk through section by section of the draft annual legislative report. And I'll just begin on page 6. So this is the executive summary of the report. And this section really tries to boil down the activities of the commission in calendar year 2022. So it touches on the appointments of commission members, provides descriptions of early commission meetings, and summarizes the results of the first round of the initial reviews. The next section is the introduction on page 7. And this really lays out the contents of the report. So discussing the establishment of the commission and its composition. There's discussion to tax expenditures and the commission's activities related to.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, could you ask the gentleman to do a share screen on this so that we can be looking at it as he describes it? I certainly didn't print out 63 pages. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair and members, I don't have slides that I'm sharing. I'm just walking through the physical document myself.
Do you want me to put the document up? I can do that, Chair Gomez. Yep. All right.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Sorry, I just was having some problems with my audio, I think. So Senator Rest, it would be helpful. So we didn't do slides, but just like us to share screen on that, because it sounds like we could do that.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, you were breaking up a little bit, your audio, so I'm not quite sure I understood what you said.
Okay, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Poe suggested she could just put the actual report up on this. Is that good? Would that be helpful? Okay, great. Yeah. And I might just sign out and sign my audios. Okay, while we're getting that set up.
Okay, you should see the cover page of the Tax Expenditure Review Commission Draft Annual Legislative Report. And Carlos was on page 6. Is that right, Carlos?
That's right. And I moved on to page 7.
Okay.
Now. Thank you, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
So on page 7 is the introduction of the report. Again, just laying out the contents of the report, discussing the commission's establishment and its composition, discussing the tax expenditures and the activity of the commission related to tax expenditures initial review. This section really limits the scope of this report as it's the first report, and the statute of the commission outlines how in-depth that report can be in its initial years. Also, this section just acknowledges that the work of the commission has been grounded in the work of the contents of the tax expenditure budget, which is published by the Department of Revenue. And lastly, it's just some acknowledgement to legislative staff that contributed to the work of the commission and this report, as well as commission members and their contributions to the commission. So Madam Chair, I can move on to the next section. So page 9 just provides a review of the Tax Expenditure Commission's composition based on statute, really just reiterating what's in statute. Also just providing the current membership of the commission. On page 10, again, just reiterating what's in statutes related to duties and responsibilities of the commission. On page 11, we provide an overview of the commission's meetings in 2022. The 4 commission meetings are summarized with testifiers and the content of their presentations to the commission. Material for each meeting is available online, and readers of the report are directed where they can find that material. If the commission chooses to update this section with today's meeting, we can do that as well. On page 12, we provide some supplement to the report, which is more of an overview of tax expenditures, just some brief history of tax expenditures at the federal level, as well as in efforts to improve oversight of tax expenditures in Minnesota. We also identify some of the challenges in trying to capture the magnitude of tax expenditures. And this is more in depth, described in more in depth in the tax expenditure budget's introduction. There's some challenges in trying to quantify estimates, and there's some limits to how you can really try and capture the true magnitude of estimates. It's not as simple as adding them up. Having said that, we do try to provide some reference to the magnitude. And so we just provide a quick analysis of tax expenditure estimates that are available and published through the tax expenditure budget. So on page 13, this section titled Minnesota Tax Expenditures provides that. And this is really just an analysis of, like I said, the tax expenditure budgets data. That data is also available in a searchable database format through a summary list available online through the Department of Revenue. Again, these estimates are pretty limited in what they can tell us, but we try to provide some reference to the magnitude of tax expenditures in Minnesota. So this includes a count of the number of tax expenditures that are claimed in recent years, an estimate of tax expenditures by tax type. And so this type of analysis is provided for general sales and use tax, individual income tax, and corporate franchise tax. And these three tax types were selected because they make up the bulk of the initial 11 tax expenditures that were reviewed this year. So that takes us through page 20. On page 20, we discuss some considerations for evaluation of tax expenditures. We discuss the prevalence of evaluations in Minnesota, as well as in other peer states at the federal level. So we discuss some tax expenditure evaluations that have been published specific to Minnesota tax expenditures. Also, we just discuss how the 9 components of review that are set out for the commission, how they can be addressed in a more full analysis, how those might be organized going forward. And then lastly, just provide some high-level considerations of qualitative and quantitative evaluations.
Thank you, Mr. Wadeka. That's a lot. It kind of really, the first 20 pages of the report are really sort of, incorporate all of the material that we've covered in our first handful of meetings. And so it's kind of dense material related to sort of the grounding in these in the tax expenditure budget. But I don't know if anybody has any questions, comments, or feedback as we're on those sections that Mr. Wadeka has just covered. I'm not seeing any hands so far. So yeah, maybe we can go on to how we dealt with purpose statements and objective statements. Thank you.
Okay. So Madam Chair, this section that's on your screen just touches on purpose statements in current law, whether they're in statute, codified in statute, or existing session law. This section speaks to the Commission's prerogative to address those provisions. So going forward to page 24, this just summarizes the tax expenditure objective statements that were presented to the Commission on October 11th. This is the same content that was presented in the review document. We took some of those artifacts out and just summarized them here for you all. So this is just the tax expenditure title, its statutory reference, a description is provided, and then the objective statement that was presented is provided here. And this is, for the sake of brevity, we provided this here for a quick reference. Then on page 32 is just an appendix A, which is a glossary, just a brief glossary for folks to ground themselves in some tax terms. And then glossary B on page 34 is just the same tax expenditure review document that was provided to members at the last meeting. And that has been updated for some technical corrections. And that's a quick brief walkthrough of the report as a whole.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wadeka. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the second half of the report here, because over the last few meetings, we've had a lot of discussion about how it is that we're going to meet the requirements of the statute in a way that that all members of the commission can support and that respects the sort of institutional customs of the Senate with respect to purpose statements or objective statements. So where we are at right now is this report, you know, under our statute, we need to send it to forward to the tax committees in the House and Senate by December 15th. We did not take official action in adopting the purpose statements or the objective statements that were presented to the commission. And so that is noted in the report. It says that the 11 objective statements that are included in Appendix B are items that came in front of the committee, but that the commission, excuse me, but that the commission didn't take action on. And so in that way, you know, my intent here with having the report structured like this is to allow that conversation to continue, because, you know, we didn't quite get to a place where you know, where we got to agreement on those pieces of like, how are we going to meet those statutory requirements to establish the purpose of the expenditures so that we can perform a review of them, and to kind of square that with the commission members all feeling like it aligned with the way that the respective institutions have treated and dealt with tax policy. And, you know, just to kind of take a step back because I feel like we've been spending a couple of meetings really in kind of the weeds on, you know, how we're going to talk about the work and how we're going to communicate about the work. But I just, you know, want to say that it's my intention and like my kind of desire for us all to figure this out together. And the whole reason that we're here is because we have this entire large part of our budget that doesn't really get the light shown on it. And so we're trying to shine the light on it. And so whatever it is that we can do to just kind of to move forward together on that, I'm open to. And my hope is that we can, you know, as we communicated when we sent out the draft report to commission members, and then, you know, as we publicized it, we want to allow for feedback to come from commission members, because I know we didn't have a ton of time to review this, through November 30th. But, you know, speaking with House Research, I think what I would like us to do is to adopt the draft report as final today, subject to changes that may come up based on the feedback that the vice chair and I receive by November 30th. And if there are any really substantive changes, if it's like a really big thing, then we might have to schedule another meeting. But, you know, it's kind of a little rough for us to get this one together. So that's sort of my proposal. And so I'm wondering, just wanted us to have a conversation about that, you know, see if people are amenable, or if there's another suggestion, I'm open to it. I just want to kind of get this moving on its path. I see that Vice Chair Rest has her hand up. Please, Senator, go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Gomez. I'm comfortable. I don't know about Senator Weber of adopting the report. We know it will have to go to the tax committees, and any action that's taken will have to be approved by the legislature. The commission itself can't do that. So would be my intent. My caucus has elected me to be the tax chair for next time around. Would be my intent to have this report among the first hearing, certainly by the end of January. This report, again, doesn't commit the legislature to anything except to receive the report, and it seems like to me that that's that is just fine. And the debate and discussion of the report can take place in the in the uh, uh, in the relative tax committees.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Rest, and congratulations. A lot of good work ahead on tax policy for the people of Minnesota. So unless there are any other comments or questions, not seeing any, I would like to move to adopt the draft report as final, subject to technical and conforming changes suggested by yeah.
Madam
yeah.
Chair, it's really not protocol for the chair to make a motion. If you would ask one of your other members to make the motion, since the chair is presiding and has a little bit more power over it, the discussion. If you would ask someone else among the House members to do that, I would be obliged.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Was somebody else going to jump in? I heard a voice.
I'm happy to make that motion, Chair.
Okay, so if you don't mind, maybe I'll just read that I'm going to entertain a motion and then Representative Schultz will make it.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to entertain a motion that the draft report be adopted as final, subject to technical and conforming changes suggested by members that are adopted by the chair and vice chair.
And this is Rep Schultz. I make a motion as what you just stated, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Representative Schultz. That motion having been made, if we could unmute for a moment, and all those members in favor could please say aye.
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 If there are any opposed, please say no. Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Thank you, Representative Schultz. And we have adopted our report. That's a good, that means we've done our work for the year. So I'm really happy that we managed to get this done. Thank you so much. So if, you know, again, I want to kind of stipulate, right, that any suggestions for changes or questions that any member of the commission has, we will be accepting these between now and the end of the month. And please do include me and Vice Chair Rest on any email communication about it. You know, she and I will be getting together after that deadline to just, if there's stuff that we need to discuss, that we'll go through it. And so we're not planning for another meeting of the Tax Expenditure Review Commission between now and the convening of the next legislature. But I do just want to say that, like, if one of you reads through this report and you're like, whoa, like 3/4 of it isn't aligning with what I think it should be, that, you know, that's a possibility that we could come back for a brief meeting, you know, to sort of to approve any substantive changes that might need to be made based on that feedback that we receive between now and the end of the month. So just with that stipulation, I think we're ready to move forward. We don't have any further business before the commission. That was kind of our thing for the day. So I just want to once again thank Mr. Whitaker and the Legislative Budget Office staff, all of whom have been working really hard to get this report done, and, you know, who have been providing really incredible support to us as we're getting this like fledgling effort up and going, and, you know, appreciate everybody's patience as we sort of figure it out together. And, you know, and thanks, of course, to everybody who's joined us here today. And I want to provide, just say a special thank you, and we will miss you, to members who are retiring from the legislature and who have just cared about taxes and cared about these expenditures and done so much incredible work to make sure that our tax code is fair and equitable and works for the people of Minnesota. So thank you, Representative Hertas, Representative Marquardt, Representative Schultz, and Senator Bach. We just really appreciate your contribution to this space. And, you know, I can say personally just that, you know, have appreciated and benefited from all of your work and mentorship over these years I've been here so far. So thank you very much. And with that, this meeting of the Tax Expenditure Review Commission is adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a good week.